Hey everybody, welcome to the GMG review. Today we're taking a look at Cohors Cthulhu Tactics, a solo and co-op adventure wargame prologue from Modiphius, which is up for free today on DriveThruRPG. I've also got here some miniatures that Modiphius was kind enough to send me, which are part of the prologue itself and will be available as part of the crowdfund, which is currently running through Kickstarter. So this is a good time to kind of show this thing off. This is a this is a mismatch between the heroic era of history of the Roman Empire and the Lovecraftian mythos of H.P. Lovecraft, kind of slammed together, where the warring tribes of like Germania and of course the British Isles and the Roman legionnaires have to kind of put aside their differences because there's an outbreak of evil space cosmic horror monsters that they get assaulted by. And this game is very much in the vein of the now popularized heroic solo and cooperative warband games like Rangers of Shadowdeep by Joe McCullough. So the goal here is you are going to pick a hero. So model-wise, what I've got here is I've got Marius, the Roman centurion. You're going to recruit some auxiliaries or some sort of like some people to fight with him, like Roman legionnaires or Roman auxiliary archers. I have these models here as well, which I'm going to get to put together and paint these auxilia for the Let's Play that you'll see coming up soon. And you're going to fight against baddies in procedurally generated missions. So this little free booklet that you can download today if you want has a 3-act sort of procedurally generated story based upon what happens in the first one. You'll go left or right and yada yada. If you've seen a branching sort of like narrative campaign style, that's what's going to be applied in here. But we've got Ghouls of Mormo, Servitors of Mormo, a Chosen of Mormo, and Teflsuns, which are kind of cool. One of them's like coming through a portal from another dimension. After each game, you will have your sort of like guys earn experience. They might get injured. Various sort of like events can take place. So they'll earn denarii, which is money, and they'll earn story points they can spend either to level up their hero or to buy additional recruits to come and fight for them. You'll also need a tape measure, 5 dice sets in one color and 3 in another for rolling tests. They're all just 6-sided. You need 2 fear dice. They're used as markers next to your units. 1 magic dice that we place on a terrain feature. 1 threat dice to sit next to the battlefield. So some big dice to track like in-game sort of like build up. And then several tokens and 5 different descriptions. So you need some wound tokens, activation tokens, stagger tokens, spawn tokens, and 2 command tokens. The game's designed to play on a 2-foot board, so 24 by 24 inches. And you should get some various sort of like just natural, ruiny scatter terrain. So I very much already have everything I need to play to try with this game. Scenario 1's regroup. You're basically falling back. There's like an evil mist that's come out. You're being hunted by monsters, and it takes you through it narratively. So this isn't like a rule book in so much as it's going to have the core mechanics kind of laid out in like a technical manner. It teaches you by playing. So it's going to teach you the regroup actions, the engage actions, and then how to fight a melee, right? So Marius's combat scores, how he attacks, and then your health and saves. So in this one, for instance, when you are activating, it's going to go through your first turn. So round structure, the game's broken into several rounds. Each one has 3 steps called phases. The action phase comes first. Everybody gets to do 2 actions. This makes them mark with an activation token, so you can show they've gone. And you're going to pit Marius and 3 Legionnaires against 3 Servitors of Mormo in this mission. Once you've activated, you're done. And then you've got your Mythos phase and End phase. Mythos phase is when the baddies go, and then End phase is the cleanup where you do like out-of-game activations. So the first thing you do to turn is choose which of your units going to activate. So they pick Marius to go first. However, he can't do anything. A Mythos unit appears in the mist. There's a chance of this happening whenever you activate your units before you make any actions. And we'll go over how this happens in more detail later on. But for now, set up 3 Servitors of Mormo. So each one's within 1 of a Servitor and the closest within 4. Basically, they can show up whenever you activate a model. There can be like a random out of the mists thing that happens. So regroup, the soldiers are in trouble, but Marius has 2 actions to help them with. There's a number of different actions you can take, but for now it's just move. He has a movement stat, and of course that's going to be a 4-inch move across the battlefield. Note that during a move action, you can't move through solid objects or impassable terrain or within 1 of an enemy model. For now, move him so that he ends up within one of his soldiers. Normally, you have to stay 1 inch apart, but because they're friendly, he can join and lead the unit by coming within 1 inch of them. The presence of a hero significantly boosts morale. Unless the soldiers recover 1 point of fear, adjust their fear die so that it shows a 2. And now that the action's completed, Marius has some allies on his side. Let's see how a charge action works. So a charge action has 3 parts. First, the unit engages the enemy. Next, you fight the melee. And then finally, your units are consolidated. To engage, move each of your models up to 4 inches towards the servitor so that the models are possibly in base contact with at least 1 servitor. Then each servitor that's not in base contact moves 2, so they basically consolidate towards you, and now you fight melee. To resolve melee, you need to consolidate your profiles. Each unit has a combat, a range, a grit, a magic, an attack stat, their health, and their save. Your attack rating in red shows how many dice you roll per model when it makes its attacks in melee. So for instance, when you're using a Marius, he's going to roll 2 dice and roll a 4+. Legionnaires each roll 1 dice, rolling a 4+. Roll the dice at once. Both Marius and Legionnaires have a combat rating of 4, so all 4, 5s, and 6 are hits. In addition, the Roman Legionnaires have the all-out attack trait. This special rule means that whenever you roll a 6, you can do 2 hits instead of 1, so you get like exploding 6s. When you score at least as many hits as half the number of models in the unit running up, the unit's staggered. So if you inflict at least 2 hits in the servitors, they are staggered and will only get to make 1 action during the Mythos phase of this turn. Either way, if you inflict at least 1 hit, you must now gather to see if their armor protects them. So the servitors of Mormo, they have a save of 5+. You're going to roll against that. And then you would get to roll your health rating in green to show how many wounds they've taken to kill a single model. Servitors have a health rating of 1, so every wound kills a servitor. So basically, rolling 4 dice, let's say half of them hit. You roll the saves, none of them make it. You lose 2 servitors of Mormo because they only have 1 health each. Entering melee is dangerous, so if you're in range of them, they're going to hit you back 2. Servitors have an attack rating of 1, so gather 3 dice for each model in the unit. If any of them are slain during this action, they're still included. Their attacks take place at the same time, so it's a simultaneous combat. Resolve the servitor's attacks, you have to roll the 3 dice and roll a 5+, let's say 1 hits. They get to make their save of 4+, and if you suffer any wounds, they must be applied to the soldiers before they go on Marius. That's why you want to join heroes to units. And then once all slain models have been removed, the melee is over and you can move to consolidate. So count up as many models that are removed in the unit. The unit that lost multiple models has lost the fight, and the other units won the fight, and in the case of a tie, whoever initiated melee wins. Then you back off 2, and the other models can move 1 inch in any other direction. That's the end of a charge. And that was the second action, so that ends their activation. So basically you can see here that like if it moves 4 inches, you have like an 8-inch engagement range every turn for your basic infantry in this game. But it's dangerous. So now we get Modiphius' turn. So it's time for the servitors to make some actions. Just like your units, enemy units can make up to 2 actions in their turn, unless they're staggered, in which case they only make 1. Modiphius instructs the servitors to make a charge action, so they charge back in. And at the start of the melee, you can choose either a combat response. You can either counterattack, defend, or hold. If you counterattack, you gain 2 fear, but you can be able to attack back. If you choose to defend, you gain 1 fear, but your unit saves improved by 1. And if you choose to hold, the unit gains no fear, but there's no special rule. So basically, if you want to defend, you're going to get a 3+ armor save, but you gain a fear each turn. And then you gather the servitor's dice, depending on who's left, roll them and make an attack like you did last time. And if you chose to attack back, then you can attack back. Otherwise, you just stand there and consolidate. Before the consolidation step, the servitors will press the attack if there's any survivors on both sides. And if they still have actions available, this means that they will continue to fight, basically. So you can only press the attack when they do so, repeat the melee. However, if you choose to counterattack or defend in the first melee, you must now choose to hold. So you only get to make a special thing once per turn. And then finally consolidate at the end of it all. And that's the end of a round. And then you go to the end phase. You remove all your activation tokens, and that's it. So that was just basically learning a combat. Scenario 2, clearing a path, you're going to have a bit more like movement stuff, so like move around in close order, how bad guys spawn, because you're basically on like a truck across the table now. You're going to see who shows up to fight you. Range combat gets included in this case, so like how you shoot. And then you can bolster. In addition to move, charge, and loose actions, you can also make a bolster action. Loose action is a shoot action because it means loose your arrows. Get it? I don't know, I just would have called it shoot, I think. When you make a bolster action, your fear is reduced by 1. So basically it's like a rally step, you get to take your fear down. And then the effects of fear, if a soldier unit slays the last model enemy unit, their fear goes down by 1. When a hero joins a unit, their fear goes down by 1. When a soldier makes a bolster action, there's a fear. When the unit's targeted by a Mythos unit's charge action, they gain 2 fear if they counterattack or 1 if they defend. A unit's fear cannot drop below 1 and cannot rise above 6. A unit cannot use a special rule if they would take them above 6, for example. A unit with 5 fear can't counterattack. If a unit has 6 fear, it's wavering. A wavering unit cannot make any more actions other than bolster. Basically, you have like a limit of 6 before you start to freak out. And then take to the field. So that's it. You now begin the first round and you go action phase. B, if the spawn pool has any tokens, roll to see if a Mythos unit shows up, because basically your Mythos units don't start on the table. And you're going to have a certain number of spawn tokens on the table at the start of the game until they all spawn out. Create the spawn pool by gathering 3 spawn tokens and place them next to the battlefield. Each one represents a Mythos unit that will enter play during the scenario. At the start of each of your turns, after you've chosen a unit to activate, but before they make any actions, check to see if there's any tokens in the spawn pool. If they're all, roll 2 dice and add them together and look at the result on this table. If a unit spawns, remove a token from the spawn tool. If the unit rolled is next to already in play, treat it as the next result. For example, if you roll a 7 and the Server of Murmur is already in play, the Ghouls of Murmur will spawn instead. Once you determine if they'll spawn, you need to see if they'll arrive in the battlefield, and you do this by doing direction approach and proximity. So direction approach is like this little arrow right here of where they're going to show up. So either behind you on a 6, 1, 2, 3, 4 across. And that's basically where your proximity is going to be. So how far away is going to be between 6 and 16 inches. So roll 2 dice and add 4. And if they do arrive in the spawn pool, then there they are, and you don't activate. If you determine with an active token, then you mark it with an activation token. And then Mendaxus takes the turn with the Mythos unit as described below, then mark it with an activation token. So you're going to go back and forth. And then the end phase. And then Mendaxus instructions, you choose a Mythos unit. If it has spawned at the start of the turn, it activates. Otherwise, if the Mythos unit within 8, it activates. Otherwise, activate a Mythos unit that's closest to your unit. So it goes, did they just spawn? Is it near Marius? So it is near your hero, basically. And then is it the closest to your units? That's the order they'll activate in. So some basic AI stuff. And then it's just your unit entries. So like here's your unit entries for Marius and Legionaries, for the Auxiliary Archers, the Servitors, the Ghouls, and the Teufelsbund. And you can see they've all got like cool different stats. The Archers are all not as good fighters as the Legionnaires, but they get bows. And the Servitors of Mormo, you know, same kind of like 5+ save and armor as the first scenario. But the Ghouls, they will have a combat of only a 6+ and a save of only 6+, but they have a Bilious Flood. Whenever this unit attacks in melee, each unsaved hit inflicts 2 wounds instead of 1, because they're just gross. And if this unit has at least 1 model in melee, this unit immediately gets a staggered token, and this can prevent it from pressing the attack in the same melee because they're corpse eaters. So if they kill you, they start eating your bodies. And then the Teufelsbund is 2 models. It's got like a 5+ save, but a 4+ combat. They're like these dangerous, weird, alien robot dogs. And then finally, through the Longest Night, this is like a sort of take and hold, survive kind of thing, and you use the whole game system. But you also have your threat level in this game, where reality can start to come undone, basically, when you're fighting. And then if you want to play some more, they give you all of your unit entries and a nice quick reference sheet for playing the game. And that's it. Not bad for a free little prologue. It uses prescribed units, obviously, because this is just like a taster of what the game's play is going to be like. But I like the gimmick. I like the fact that it's like a weird setting. Like we've seen, obviously, like World War II a lot for Cthulhu stuff. You know, like World War I even with like, or the Roaring Twenties is that like kind of setting. Even previous to that, like Silver Bayonet kind of has some Lovecraftian sort of mythos stuff baked into it with Joe's design. But never this far back, and I think it's a neat premise. So I hope they do okay with this. This is kind of a passion project for Chris, I think. He's a real big fan of this period and this setting. And obviously this already has an RPG as well. So it's cool they did models for it. And obviously if you're into the RPG, this stuff's all going to be compatible. So you're either going to get a nice, cool, light, cooperative like skirmish game for playing like bigger engagements in your RPG and some great models for playing the RPG with. Or if you're brand new to this setting and this universe, you're going to get a cool little skirmish war game for high adventure. I'm excited to see the full rulebook and see what happens with the crowdfund. So thanks to Chris for sending along the miniatures for me to check out, and the team at Modiphius. We'll see the Let's Play coming up real soon. Till I'm Ash, have a great day.